With resolve in her eyes, Rasheeda stormed into the room, the news engulfing her like a tsunami. She asked, "What have you just said?" in a firm and demanding voice, leaning against the wall and demanding an explanation. She smiled as she announced, "I have a baby," and he was acting like Kirk was his father, giving him the best possible news. Rasheeda felt a wave of surprise and wrath that made her heart sink. "You're completely crazy if you think you can just stroll in here with that data. It's not my responsibility because you didn't discipline him." These were cutting statements. "It appears like you're playing a game and attempting to ruin my family because of a mistake." Jasmine shrugged. Stepping forward, Jasmine. Forward, there is a trace of disobedience in her eyes. "This isn't merely an error, it's real. Rasheeda, you cannot deny that this is happening, and you are unaware that Rashid is furious. I will not allow you to kill me because you are incapable of handling who you are. You're not seeing the whole picture. This kid changed everything." The atmosphere was tense with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Jasmine laughed, but it was cold and unpleasant. Rasheeda took a step toward her, her voice steady yet acerbic. "To be triumphant, you won't just take that away from me. I'll battle for my family and my union. As much as you like but adore." Jasmine's eyebrows raised in a blend of conceit and lighthearted disagreement. "Doesn't vanish just because you're upset. He's had enough of your foolishness." To help her relax, Rasheeda squeezed her palm and inhaled deeply. "You tell her that this is all theatrical, that this is my family and my life, and that you are nothing more than a diversion projection if anything." Jasmine shot back apathetically, saying, "It's me who promised him happiness. It's been a while since you finished it. Do you really think that makes it better? This is my mother, not just a projection." Brief partnership, this betrayal extends beyond our union. It also betrays family. Kirk moved aside, his face more deeply agonized. "Please let me heal Rasheeda. If you give me a chance to explain what's going on, we can work this out." Nevertheless, Rasheeda's voice wavered as she spoke, not out of fear but rather from the unbearable anguish you caused her by choosing her over me. She broke through an insurmountable barrier, sensing that the quiet that followed would strangle him. Rasheeda was talking nonstop, not realizing how broken she was. The tears that seemed to fall everywhere on her reminded her of their love, which was now growing due to his betrayal. "Your actions have consequences." Kirk remarked that, despite the turmoil inside her, her voice was firm but competitive. "You have broken my trust in a way that shocks me," obscuring Kirk's vision as he strained to find words. "I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened because I was weak and not strong enough. You deserve better than this loyalty and respect, especially from my own husband." Believing that's not how you justify it, rather than simply admitting her error and moving on, Rasheeda aggressively dismissed him, saying, "You are an adult. You should have known better." She turned her back on him, seeking space. She whispered, "Look at you now, clutching the door and breaking. You've gone too far. This is not something you can overcome." Perhaps trying to process the chaos coursing through her heart, but I'm not even sure she succeeded. Kirk extended his hand to take hers. "Please don't grab Rasheeda's wrist," she asked, not allowing him to go on. "I love you" hung in the air, but Rasheeda experienced a rush of emotion. Her love was pure and sincere, but she said, "It's impossible how your actions are the total opposite of love. How could I ever trust you again?" It took her some time to realize that you had ruined all we had worked so hard to build, and she wasn't sure she would ever be able to look at him the same way. She sobbed, letting go of his arm, her heart racing as she made her decision. In the middle of the chaos, the blast of cold night air made her feel both lost and burden-free. She was very worried by Kirk's deceit as he stood by himself, grappling with the consequences of his decisions and the possibility that he had just lost. Rumor had it that he had been married to Kirk Frost for an extended period of time, and that after dating her for a year, the love of his life, a hip-hop musician in Atlanta, had reached her breaking point and was prepared to file for divorce. prolonged duration. Rasheeda is completely over Kirk's treachery and dishonesty union, and she had put up with his never-ending display of adultery. Kirk has received increased attention from the media as a result of his repulsive actions, which have forced him to suffer more than 3 times in a row. One of the most remarkable incidents of his behavior was when he betrayed him on TV during a break about hip-hop and love. This scene became famous for its intensity, and when Rasheeda was expecting a kid in season 2, Kirk bravely pretended to be the father of the child. The source of the enormous drama eruption that rocked them throughout season 3. In order to establish his paternity, Kirk decided to test his DNA, which worsened their volatile relationship and made Rasheeda feel uneasy. The marriage was also significant. Disagreements. Rasheeda appears prepared to regain control over her life and end a marriage that has undoubtedly been a turbulent soap opera, particularly with Charlene, her mother, who, despite their age, is infamous for running Kirk's motorcycle over during a heated dispute. Claims that the divorce was real would be a big change for Rasheeda, a cast member from season C who is well known for balancing her job, family, and children's turbulent relationship with Kirk. It has definitely been a struggle. For the literary works, after years of lying, a lot of people are supporting Rasheeda's choice to end her relationship with Kirk Frost. It appears that Rasheeda is tired of being Kirk's scheming sidekick and is leaving to prioritize her happiness and peace of mind. The volatile union. Kirk gave a fierce shake of his head, saying, "Nothing at all. It's like she disappeared with the money. According to many sources, I'm currently entangled in a web of." Jessica questioned what you are doing to handle these claims and get your belongings back with more sympathy, claiming that I'm hiding accusations that I'm the one who has damaged her. Even if I've already begun working with the seedlings, Kirk retorted, "This will be a difficult battle, but I'm committed to getting back what is properly mine. It goes beyond money. It has to do with revealing the truth and clearing my record. I want everyone to understand that I'm not just taking things straightforward on myself." Jessica leaned back, assessing the significance of Kirk's remarks given the public interest in the case's publicity and his ability to handle the strain on his reputation. Kirk inhaled deeply, a mixture of resolve and tiredness. His eyes, "I'm under pressure since everyone is paying close attention to this, but I have to constantly remind myself to remain focused because this is about justice and making sure the truth comes to light, not just my stance." Disclosed. Kirk's voice grew quieter over time, but it remained clear and steady. Jessica nodded kindly. "At what point would you want to clarify your supporters throughout this turbulent period?" "To be absolutely honest, I want our support. Sincere and forthright about everything he had done to deceive. All he wanted was to keep no secrets moving forward." His tone hardened as she examined him. Rasheeda noted that her shoulders were less tense than before. "Are you really ready for the?" He spoke optimistically, stating that messiness was preferable to nothing and that a bright spark united them despite the impending upheaval that would hurt. "I want to fight to escape, not control a thing." Control. As she grudgingly considered his remarks, he seemed to be speaking honestly, but perhaps if they were both willing to be honest, they would discover that trust was not going to be destroyed outright, and they would have to rebuild it from scratch. Even if their reunion wouldn't be ideal, he was determined to give it his best go. At last, Rasheeda welcomed him into her arms, her countenance softening as the distance between them started to thin. To begin with, the reality of Miss Kirk's situation took a deep breath. "I was terrified." Rasheeda was relieved but yet terrified at the same time. She was afraid she would make a mistake or lose him, so she buried herself in diversions. However, she didn't just admit this to you. She was afraid of me too. Show off. The only way I knew of to take charge was because of her frailty and recurrent injury. So when the news finally reached Rasheeda, she sat on the edge of the couch, her heart beating. She had always trusted Kirk, but after seeing him bend over it was a blow that Jasmine never saw coming. The entire scene seemed surreal, akin to a twisted soap opera. The room was stuffy and uncomfortable. the walls closing in on her as flashes of their shared aspirations, triumphs, and hardships passed by. "Can you believe this, Eyes?" Her friends had crowded around, sensing the storm brewing within her, and she muttered barely audibly over a tremor of rage and sadness churning inside her, threatening to overwhelm her composure after everything we've been through. To comfort her and provide words of encouragement, but the betrayal struck deep. She had supported Kirk through positive times and bad, experiencing ups and downs together, and now she felt as though he was abandoning everything they had in common. "I had believed that we were creating a life together." Together, she spoke in a tremulous tone that combined anger and incredulity for one of her pals. "Because you've always been the rock in your relationship, you deserve more, so don't let him steal your place." Mia leaned closer to Rasheeda. "You're correct, authority." Mia, I refused to allow him till she could see the resentment in Retta as she brushed away her tears, feeling a flicker of anger rising within her. "This is a wake-up call for me to define my worth and stop being the understanding wife," she muttered. Observations aside, she was feeling stronger as her friends stood by her side, reminding her of all the times she had defended their family and rejected bitterness in favor of love. They had supported her through the highs and lows you worked so hard to achieve. "Hard, and now he's just dismissing it like it didn't matter," Mia said. "I gave it everything I had," Retta said, and her voice kept getting louder. "I supported him through every business venture and scandal, and this is how he pays me back." The room exuded a resolute air filled with the hum of empowerment and empathy. Rasheeda stood up and used the back of her hand to wipe her face. "If he thinks he can leave, he has more in store for me," she said. "Gonna sit here and watch him suffer while he's off having the time of his life with someone else. I'm editing my narrative." Her pals gave her a nod of agreement, their support acting as a shield against her grief. "I refuse to let this define me," she said. Whispered, with the flame burning brightly inside her, the conviction that she would show up more powerful than before and that she deserved joy as well, having invested a lot of effort to make him pleased. Attempt to correct the issue,